A small alien ship floats in the endless dark. Its engines lie silent. Oxygen is slipping away. Panic stirs in the narrow halls. Commander Lyra watches glowing gauges drift toward zero. Her crew stands close in the control room. They are far from home, with no star shining near. Yet in this silent void, a spark of hope still flickers. Lyra can still hear her own heart beat in her ears. Outside the thick viewport glass, only blackness stares back. The Aurora was built for deep space travel, but not for losing power so far from any station. Already 3 of the 4 life pods have low air. The crew sometimes coughs, a soft sound that echoes in the empty corridors. Lyra feels heavy with worry. She wonders why the engines failed. She hopes a rescue ship will answer their call, even though they have tried every frequency in the star charts. At her side stands Varric, the engineer. His long fingers trace the damaged control panel. He feels guilt for not fixing the reactor in time. Beside him, Sita the medic checks the air filter systems. She bites her lip and holds back tears when the filter readings drop again. Navigator Orin stands by the holomap, his green eyes wide. With fear, he keeps replaying the last data spike that led them into this silent patch. Each of them carries a spark of hope, but their faces grow pale as the minutes tick by like tiny hammers on their souls. A soft alarm chimes in the corridor as the last backup oxygen generator warns of failure. Its red light pulses like a dying heartbeat. Lyra sees the glow from the doorway and presses a hand to her chest. The crew gathers, staring at the small machine that once gave them life. It hums weakly, its metal shell warm to the touch. Varric opens a side panel and sighs at the tangled wires. Sita places a gentle hand on his shoulder and murmurs that they must not give up. Orin whispers a forgotten prayer in his old language, hoping anyone will hear. Back in the control room, Lyra returns to the central console. Her hands shake when she touches the communication panel. She selects the universal distress code and holds her breath as the signal sends. A sharp crackle comes through the speaker, then silence. She sighs and sends again, her voice calm but trembling. The crew listens to her words in many alien tongues, begging for help, promising peace. They speak of their home world, of lives cut short by this sudden failure. When the last message ends, Lyra closes her eyes and whispers a promise. They will not surrender to the void. The Aurora drifts like a wounded bird, its hull cold under the starlight. Each echo of the SOS rings in their ears. The crew shares quiet glances, each face filled with longing. Varric wipes sweat from his brow, though the air is cold. Her medkit closes as if it could heal the ship itself. Orin stands at the window, his silhouette slim against the endless dark. Lyra moves between them, offering a soft word or a firm nod. They share a small moment of unity, a link of trust. In this vast silence, they hold on to each other and to hope. For the first time they feel truly alone, yet also deeply connected. As hours pass, nothing changes. No bright ship appears. Friendly voice calls back. The aliens feel the weight of empty space pressing on them. The air grows thinner, and the ship creaks as its systems struggle. Yet none speaks of giving in. They gather at the communication console, hands lightly resting on Lyra's shoulders. In that moment, they make a silent vow. They will stay together, and they will keep calling. Even if the void remains deaf, their hope will not die. On each other's strength, during the long and quiet watch, Lyra sits at the communication console and sends the distress signal once more. She picks up the hand controls and repeats the same code in every known language. Her voice is calm but urgent as she speaks in the alien tongue. Make of their ship, the failed engine, and the names of her crew. She adds a plea for mercy and aid. Each time she hits send, she holds her breath, waiting for a reply. She wonders if anyone can see their blue distress beacon lights against the darkness. Varric stands behind her, eyes fixed on the receiver lights. He flicks switches to boost the signal. His hands shake when he flips a switch, but he forces calm to keep going. He holds back tears when the lights flicker, but no clear response follows. Each failed attempt weighs heavy on his shoulders. Remembers his home planet's bright sun and feels a knot in his chest. Yet he fights the ache with quiet determination. He whispers to Lyra that they must keep trying. Lyra nods and steadies her hands. Seda moves around the room, handing out water and soothing herbs. She reminds the crew to eat and to rest when they can. She wipes the sweat from their brows and speaks soft words of hope. She folds a small letter from her sister into her pocket and reads it under her breath. The letter tells her to have faith and to stay strong. Seda ties a small ribbon around each medkit to remind herself of home. She tucks the paper and ribbon back and promises herself to protect her friends. She smiles faintly at Oren, who nods in return. Oren checks the navigation log and searches through star charts. He adjusts frequencies, hoping to catch a faint signal. He whispers an old prayer from his childhood, asking the universe to carry their call. His voice is quiet, almost lost in the static. He presses his forehead to the glass and dreams of distant suns. He moves to the viewport and stares into the endless night. The stars seem far away, and the silence stretches around him like a blanket. Yet he holds on to the words he prayed, believing they might reach someone. Back at the console, Lyra records a new message. She speaks of her family, of her children waiting at home. She adds a greeting in the human language they studied years ago, in case a human hears them. She says, "We need you. Please come." Each message she records feels like a lifeline stretched across the stars. She saves the recording and sets it to broadcast on loop. She watches the file transfer progress slowly, each percent feeling like a lifetime. When it finishes, she plays it back and tucks a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Hours pass with only static and faint white noise. The crew gathers in the control room and holds hands. Varric closes his eyes and breathes deeply. Seda lays a hand on each of their shoulders and reminds them of their promise to stay alive. They lean into each other, sharing warmth in the cold ship. Oren speaks of a legend that help can come from the most unlikely place. Lyra smiles through tears and tells them they are not alone. They repeat her words softly, each finding strength. In the sound of the others' voices, just as hope begins to fade again, the console crackles. A single beep rings through the silence. Lyra leans forward, heart racing. She checks the display and finds a weak but steady response. Someone heard them. She looks at her crew with wide eyes. They share a moment of wonder, a spark of belief that help will come. A ripple of laughter and tears runs through them as they prepare to answer. The aurora drifts on, but now their voices rise above the void. They have broken the silence. Dr. Maya Thompson sat alone in the dim lab at Deep Space Outpost 12. Her eyes were tired but bright with curiosity. The console's strange signals scrolled across the screen. She leaned forward and played the recording again. The voice was broken and distant, yet it spoke in clear words. "We need help." Maya's heart pounded. She had heard many signals in her career, but never one like this. She felt a sudden rush of hope and fear together. Typed notes on her tablet. She wrote down the pattern of the signal and the odd language shifts. She opened a language database and ran a quick code that matched parts of the message to old human recordings from lunar missions. Some words looked like Earth language. She felt a thrill. Maybe a human tongue had made its way across the stars. She shared a soft smile as she copied the phrase, "Please come," into her notes. The lab door slid open, and her colleague, Dr. Emil Santos, peeked in. "Still here?" he asked, yawning. He glanced at her screen. "That static is just cosmic noise," he said. "Don't waste your time." Maya kept her gaze on the console. "Shh," she shook her head. "This feels different," she said softly. Emil shrugged and closed the door. Maya felt a small sting, but also a burning need to prove him wrong. She whispered to herself, "I will find out." Shh. Maya put on headphones and ran the signal through extra filters. She listened as the garbled words turned clearer. She heard words for air, ship, crew. She pressed pause and closed her eyes. She imagined the crew drifting alone in the black void, their hopes tied to this one call. Her throat felt tight, and she took a deep breath and thought of her own family waiting at home. She knew what it felt like to be powerless. She would not let these strangers suffer. She drafted a reply in plain language. "This is human Dr. Maya Thompson. We hear you. Tell us your name, your ship, and your needs." Her fingers hovered over the send button. She reviewed the text twice, making sure it was simple. She added translations into possible alien dialects she had stored. Her hands trembled as she clicked broadcast. The message sailed across space in a thin beam of radio waves. Maya watched the console spin through its upload sequence. Once the send was complete, Maya stared at the blinking green light that showed the transmission was live. She felt a mix of excitement and dread. What if they did not understand? What if they were already gone? She tapped her foot and watched data scroll on the screen. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, a new signal tone sounded. To her ears, she pressed save and replayed the message. It was a simple thank you in their language, soft and full of relief. Maya allowed herself a small smile and a shaky breath. She felt the lab grow warmer. She thought of the tiny blue dot she called home, sending help into the vast unknown. She stood and stretched her arms, feeling more alive than ever. She knew this was only the beginning. She would work all night if she had to. She would find a way to guide a human ship to the stranded crew. After tonight, she would never doubt that humanity could reach beyond its world to save another. Outside, the moon hung low in the sky, a quiet witness to her lone vigil. Inside the lab, Maya sat back at the console and began drafting a full report. She would present it to the Space Council first thing in the morning. But for now, her eyes traced the path of the reply signal as it pulsed into the stars. In that steady beat, she felt a connection stronger than any she had known. A human had answered an alien call, and the bond between worlds had begun. Early the next morning, Maya stood before the United Nations Space Council. The room felt cold and vast. Council members sat behind a long, curved table. Their faces were polite but distant. Maya held her tablet with the alien message and the decoded details. She spoke in clear, soft words. She explained how the Aurora and its crew drifted in deep space. She showed data on failing oxygen and power. She asked for a rescue ship council leader. Ambassador Renard leaned back in his chair. He tapped a pen against the table. "This is a private matter," he said. "We have no treaty with alien species. Our vessels are in orbit for research and defense only." Other members nodded. They added that sending a human ship would cost too much and risk too much. Maya felt her heart drop. Her throat tightened. She swallowed hard. She opened her mouth to plead, but the council shook their heads. They would not budge. They refused to even allow a small, non-military shuttle. Maya stood still for a moment. Her mind raced, but she did not lose her calm. She bowed her head and gathered her papers. She thanked them and left the hall, her hands shaking with both anger and fear. Back in her small lab, Maya closed the door and leaned against it for support. She felt tears in her eyes as she thought of the crew on the Auroric, Commander, Lyra, Varric, Sita, and Orin trapped with fading air and failing engines. She imagined their hope kindling when they heard her voice, and then dying again if no one came. Maya wiped her cheeks. She refused to let hope die. She opened a secure channel and sent a message to her closest colleagues. "I need volunteers," she wrote. "No council support. We go ourselves." She named the salvage shuttle Voyager 1, a privately owned craft used for asteroid recovery. It was old, but sturdy. If they could repair its engines and load its supplies, they might reach the Aurora in time. By noon, 4 people stood with her in the hangar bay. First was pilot Amir Khan. He flew cargo missions and knew how to handle risky flights. His smile was easy and calm. Next was engineer Lena Reyes. She could fix any engine or circuit with just a toolkit. Her quiet confidence steadied Maya's nerves. Then came medic Dr. Felix Aranda, who carried a soft bag of medical kits and soothing words. Last was communications specialist Anna Petrova, who knew alien codes better than anyone. They crowded around Voyager 1. The shuttle sat under bright lights, its hull scratched but strong. The team worked without pause. Lena tested the main thrusters. She turned valves and tightened bolts. Felix checked oxygen tanks and restocked med supplies. Anna studied the alien SOS pattern and set the transceiver. Amir ran final diagnostics on navigation and fuel gauges. Maya watched them, her chest warming with pride. Late in the afternoon, the shuttle was ready. The engines hummed with fresh power. The life support systems glowed green. Boxes of water, food, and repair drones filled the cargo hold. Maya carried one small box of personal items, a photo of her family, and a letter from her mother. She slipped them into her pocket as a reminder of why she must succeed. As the sun set outside the bay, the team gathered at the shuttle's open hatch. They stood in a circle, hands joined. Amir spoke first. "We go because it is right," he said softly. Lena nodded. "We will bring them home," she added. Felix closed his eyes and whispered a brief prayer. Anna looked at Maya and smiled. "Let's show them who we are." Maya took a deep breath. She felt fear and hope swirl inside her. She looked at Voyager 1, her small ship against the vast hangar. She knew the odds were hard, but she also knew that hope could shine brighter than any star. "All right," she said, her voice firm. "Let's go. Together." They climbed into the shuttle. The engines roared to life, lights blinked, and consoles lit up.
Why?
As Voyager 1 lifted off, Maya pressed her hand to the viewport. She whispered, "To the crew of the Aurora, help is on the way." In that moment, the tiny beacon of human courage shone across the silent void. Voyager 1 left the hangar bay behind and slipped into the black sea of space. Maya sat at the pilot's console, hands steady on the controls. Outside the viewport, stars stretched into lines of light. She felt her heart beat fast. She glanced at the crew around her, Amir at the thruster panel, Lena checking engine gauges, Felix monitoring life support, and Anna watching the communication link. Each person wore a mixture of fear and determination. In that small cabin, hope felt as real. As the hum of the engines beneath their feet, moments later, they reached the edge of an asteroid field. Huge rocks drifted silently, some the size of houses. Amir's fingers flew over the joystick as he guided Voyager 1 between tumbling stones. Lena called out readings over the intercom. Left thruster at 60%. Adjust pitch by 2 degrees. Dust and small debris rattled the hull. The shuttle groaned and shook. Maya gripped her seat as a larger rock flashed past the viewport, its shadow racing across the control deck. Her breath came in short bursts, but she kept her voice calm. "Steady now," she whispered, and the shuttle obeyed. Once clear of the asteroids, they entered a nebulous storm. Clouds of glowing gas swirled around them in shades of violet and pink. Ion particles danced against the windows, making the lights flicker. Sensors on the dashboard blinked red warnings as static filled the speakers. Anna leaned forward, fingers flying over her console, decoding the storm's interference patterns. She relayed each adjustment to Maya and Amir so they could keep their path. Lena rerouted power to the shields, and Felix adjusted the oxygen scrubbers to handle the drop. In pressure, the crew held their breaths together, trusting each other's skill to carry them through the colorful chaos beyond the nebula. Space opened once more, and they saw only darkness. Then Felix's voice came over the comm, soft but urgent. "Oxygen. Reserves at 30%, fuel at 40%. Maya felt her chest tighten. Every second counted. She held her hand to her heart and thought of Lyra and her crew waiting on the stranded Aurora. She refused to let their hope fade. She pressed a button and spoke into the comm. "We are on track. Keep holding on." The words felt small in the empty cabin, but she believed them with all her soul. In that moment, Lena turned from her console and smiled through sweat. "Engines holding," she said. "We'll make it." Amir gave a quick nod, eyes serious but proud. Anna patted the side of her console, where a small carved figurine of an alien ship sat, a gift from Maya's daughter. It reminded them all why they risked everything. Felix opened a panel and offered each of them a sip of water from a single canteen. They passed it around, sharing the cool liquid in a moment of quiet solidarity. Their faces glowed in the panel. Lights, each one finding strength in the other's courage. As they neared the coordinates from the SOS, sensors finally picked up a faint blip ahead. On the viewport, a dim shape hovered against the starlight. Maya's breath caught as she recognized the outline of the Aurora's hull. It was battered and drifting, but still there. Her hands shook with relief and excitement. She tapped the mic. "There, do you see her?" Lena and Amir leaned in close, smiles spreading. Anna teared up and Felix pressed a hand to his chest. In that tight moment, all their fear turned to joy. Voyager 1 slid alongside the Aurora, its engines humming softly. Maya shut down the extra power to reduce stress on the shuttle. Outside, Varric, Lyra, Seda, and Orin appeared at the Aurora's airlock, their faces pale but bright with hope. Through the glass, Maya lifted her hand in greeting. Aliens raised theirs in return. In that shared gesture across two ships, two crews, two worlds, the promise of rescue became real. As the docking clamps locked into place, Maya smiled through tears. Their journey of hope had brought them together at last. Maya stepped through the airlock and onto the Aurora's deck. The hatch hissed shut behind her. Commander Lyra stood to greet her with a gentle bow. The two women looked at each other with a mixture of relief and wonder. Out around them, the human team and the alien crew paused their work to watch. Moment no one spoke. A stout then Lyra raised her hand and touched Maya's shoulder. Maya smiled and returned the gesture. In that simple touch, two worlds met. Varric and Lena knelt by the engine controls. They opened panels and set down repair drones that buzzed like small mechanical bees. Varric guided the drones with careful gestures. Lena adjusted valves and tightened cables as the drones worked on the reactor. Felix and Seda stood nearby with water packets and first aid kits. Each time the drones finished a task, Varric nodded, and Lena moved on to the next. Engines shuddered, then began to glow with steady blue light. The Aurora's heartbeat returned. Seda offered cups of warm juice to the weary crew. Orin and Anna sat side by side, drinking in silence. The alien medic tasted the juice and gasped at its sweetness. Felix showed Seda how to mix herbs with water, to calm frayed nerves. Lyra watched her people sip and smile, their eyes bright. Maya handed out small fruit bars from human rations. She explained each flavor in her simple voice. Varric tasted a bar and laughed when its temp surprised him. Bonds grew over shared food and shared care. In a quiet corner, Lyra and Maya traded stories of home. Lyra described the twin suns of her world, and Maya spoke of Earth's blue oceans. They held small gifts. Lyra gave Maya a carved shell from her home's beach, and Maya gave Lyra a photo of her daughter under a maple tree. They placed their gifts on a smooth table and touched them lightly. Each object held memories and hopes. They spoke slowly, learning each other's words. Their voices were soft like music in the ship's calm air. Outside, the two ships glowed. Under distant stars, inside, the human and alien crews moved freely between Aurora and Voyager 1. Felix showed Seda how human ships use simple wording for safety checks. Anna taught Orin a few human phrases like thank you and safe travels. Lena and Varric exchanged engineering tips. Amir and Lyra walked through the corridor, comparing star charts. Every step they took together made the gap between species smaller. Every shared smile wove a new thread of friendship. As the repair drones finished their last task, the engines hummed at full strength. Maya and Lyra stood before the control panels and pressed buttons in unison. Lights along the hull blinked green. Cheer rose from both crews. Maya's chest tightened with pride and joy. Lyra's eyes shone with gratitude. They clasped hands and lifted them together. In that bright moment, hope felt real and strong. Later, Maya gathered everyone in the bridge. She looked around at human and alien faces. She spoke in simple words. Today we were strangers. Now we are friends. Lyra echoed her. We are one crew. The group raised water cups in a silent toast. Their hearts beat together under the watchful stars. In the vast silence of space, they had found each other. Their bonds in the stars would guide them home. Voyager 1 and the Aurora slipped through space, side by side, their hulls glowing under distant stars. Maya guided her shuttle in perfect formation with Lyra's ship, their engines humming in gentle unison. Inside each vessel, human and alien, crews watched the other's lights and felt a new bond deepen. The night sky stretched before them, but it no longer felt empty. Together, they carried hope across the void. On the bridge of the Aurora, Lyra stood beside Maya at the shared helm. Console. They looked at the star charts projected in blue light. Lyra pointed to Earth's symbol and smiled. Maya pressed a button to set the course. Their hands brushed, a brief touch full of promise. Behind them, Varric and Lena exchanged a quick nod of respect. Orin and Anna studied each other's data logs. Seda and Felix passed a small plate of fruit. In those quiet moments, two worlds felt one. In the shuttle's cabin, Amir and Varric worked side by side, checking the fuel lines and engine seals. Varric learned how to read human gauges, and Amir asked questions with friendly curiosity. Each answer built trust. When a warning light blinked, Lena and Varric fixed it together with steady hands. They laughed when a cable snapped, grateful for the chance to work as one team. Every bolt tightened was a symbol of unity and shared purpose. Later, the crews gathered for a shared meal in the wide cargo bay where the two ships connected. Long tables held trays of human stew and alien-spiced fruits. The rich aroma mixed with the sound of soft laughter. Maya raised her cup of warm tea and spoke in her simple voice, "We saved you. Now we share our home." Lyra answered in her tongue, and Anna translated for everyone. Glasses clinked in celebration. Smiles lit every face, human and alien alike. After the meal, Lyra invited Maya to her quarters for a final gift. Inside, soft light fell on a small, carved globe of Lyra's homeworld. Lyra placed it gently in Maya's hands. Maya felt its smooth surface and understood its meaning, a token of trust and friendship. In return, Maya handed Lyra a small music box that played a human lullaby. Lyra closed her eyes and let the gentle tune fill the room. They shared a silent moment, two friends bound by the stars as they neared Earth. Lena prepared the hailing message for the UN Space Council. She translated Lyra's words of thanks and peace into every human language. Felix and Seda added a healing chant from their culture. Together, they recorded a greeting that spoke of unity, of life shared across light years. When the message beamed toward Earth, Maya watched it fade into the distance with a hopeful glow. The approach to Earth felt different now. Instead of feeling small in the vast sky, the ships felt strong and full of purpose. The blue planet grew larger on the viewports. Clouds swirled over oceans, and land masses spread below. Maya thought of her daughter watching the skies, dreaming of adventure. She hoped that future children of both worlds would know this story. As the first step to something greater, at a final gathering on the joint bridge, Lyra stood to address both crews. Her voice was soft but clear. "We came lost and afraid. You reached for us in the darkness. Now we go home as one." Maya echoed her in human words. "Together we are stronger." All hands rose in salute across human and alien alike. There, cheers rang out, a chorus that crossed ships and species, as the two vessels glided into Earth's orbit. The crews prepared for docking and first contact ceremonies. But in those last moments before separation, Maya and Lyra stood at their shared viewport. They watched the blue world turn beneath them. They felt the pull of home and the thrill of a new beginning. Lyra placed her hand on the glass, and Maya matched it on her side. No words were needed. Their hearts spoke across the void, in the silent hum of the engine room. Varric and Lena locked eyes and smiled. In the quiet corridor, Orin and Anna traded simple phrases of friendship. In every corner of both ships, human and alien found common ground. As the docking clamps engaged with a soft thud, they knew this was only the start. A Across the stars, hope would travel on wings of unity. Together, they would explore, learn, and build a future where no cry for help went unheard.